Tēnā koutou, no mai haere mai, ko Kamel Riley, tōku ingoa. Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Kamel Riley from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I am your resident galactic astrologer, and it's my mission here on this beautiful earth ship, Papa Tūānuku, to help expand your knowledge of the stars, and most importantly, how you use them in your life to create better life experiences and to up-level your experience as a galactic being with the unique perspective of the Southern Hemisphere, because it's very different. And in addition to that, I explain Mātaringa Māori of the Whetū. So that is Māori cultural wisdom about the stars, and that knowledge base comes from thousands and thousands of years of my ancestors who migrated all over the Pacific, and some of them ended up on different islands and some of them ended up in Aotearoa, New Zealand. So if you don't know this, I'm going to show you a really cute little picture. So when you're starting out with galactic astrology, the first point is to know that it's very similar to astronomy in that it looks at the celestial objects and not just the planets, but it looks at everything in the whole galaxy and those galaxies beyond. But it takes the perspective of where you're standing on the land, because you are coming into the cosmos and earthing this on the earth ship that we're on. So it really helps to know your whenua, to know your sacred land. And at the moment in Aotearoa in New Zealand, it's really cold. So it's winter, and we're the opposite to the Southern Hemisphere. So I like to explain this before all my videos in the introduction, so that you understand that I'm speaking with a Māori perspective, which is they're the first people that are acknowledged as the occupants of Aotearoa. And we're in the Southern Hemisphere. Here we are down here. We are at the bottom of the world in the Northern Hemisphere, where most astrologers are, and even the galactic ones, they're in the Northern Hemisphere, so they work with that cycle, and we're down here in the Southern Hemisphere. Okay, that's going to give you a bit of context. Now, in this video, I'm going to explain the Matariki, the significance of Matariki as a Māori astrologer, and also I'm going to explain how you can use it, and that is the difference between an astronomer and an astrologer. We as astrologers, we help you to understand this huge star whakapapa and to use it in your own life for your benefit, as opposed to the tribe, which is what the astronomers do, or as opposed to most of the other astrologers in the Northern Hemisphere, 90% of them who just work with the planets. We're dealing with the stars here. So in this video, I am going to explain Matariki. I'm going to explain the cultural significance of it. I'm going to explain a little bit about the astronomical system that it relates to. I'm going to explain some other features of our Māori culture that relate to the stars, and then at the end of it I'm going to tell you how you can use this in your meditations, because the meditations, the reaching of the slow brainwaves, your imaginative 90% mind, is really how you start to up-level if you feel you're a starseed, and also how you can begin to download more, how you can receive more information. And to receive any download, one has to be still. I want to acknowledge anyone else out there, if you're Māori, if you're from Aotearoa, New Zealand, or if you're from the Pacific. This is a really new body of knowledge, coming back into the stars and telling the astrological, the personal significance is new. So just want to mahi to you, and if you want to go deeper with me, there are links. I have a membership where I go deeper. I have lots of meditations which really help you to be a starseed, and in my particular membership this year, I'm actually helping people to really understand this whole system by sharing the book that I'm writing as we go. So that sort of, it gives the kind of a theory of it as we walk along, and everyone is joined is really up-leveling leveling in terms of their own awareness, their own ascension, their own confidence, and obviously making these deep connections into this galactic history, because everybody is a starseed. It's just that some of us like to acknowledge it. Okay, here we go into the video. This very important cluster here is Matariki, and this is 9 stars, and they all have significance in Aotearoa. I'm not going to go into every star in this video, but what I am going to do is talk about the cluster and the significance for Aotearoa. If you're Māori and you're listening here, you'll know this. If you're from the east coast of the North Island to Ika Maui, the Matariki cluster is particularly significant for you because you can see it when it rises with the sun, tamanui te rā, around the beginning of winter, around that new moon in winter. And that is the significance particularly for the East Coast. It is, however, celebrated as a national holiday in New Zealand. And I think we are the only country in the whole wide world that has a holiday that is in celebration of a Māori star and cluster, and because we view the star as ancestors. So how cool is that? If you would like to understand a little bit about Matariki from an astronomical or a galactic perspective, it is also known as the constellation of Pleiades. And Pleiades is a deep wisdom system that it really is built around ancestral heritage and protection and teaching. The top star, or the big star, or Whetū, in this constellation is Alcyone, and that in the Pleiades system, and that star is at 0 degrees of Gemini. It is significant in terms of sharing and caring and communicating. And in the Māori system, she's like the matriarch or the mother. And it is very significant that we have a holiday, and there have been a rich history of the digging up through this, including through Sudangi Mātamua, who has really emerged this knowledge that was always there, but he's brought it into prominence. So we celebrate Matariki on the first new moon in June, which for us is in winter. You know how I showed you that little diagram of the north and south hemisphere. So we celebrate in winter, and that is Māori New Year. For us, it's a time to celebrate the ancestors, to celebrate our whānau ties. Māori are very connected and feel close to all of our ancestors. And those ancestors are not just people, but they are the inanimate objects, and obviously also the stars. In our culture, when you die at some point after circling around in the net of tama rereti, you go into the sky, into the galaxy somewhere where you twinkle down on the rest of us and help us. And I always feel a sense, having lost many dear family members, including my dad, I always feel a great sense of satisfaction, really, that my past loved ones who've had a hard time are actually being able to have more impact for us when they're on this other side. So at Matariki, we gather together, we eat kai, we eat food, and we remember our whānau. Sometimes we come into our meeting houses, into our wharanui, and we have celebrations with our wider family members in our ancestral houses, but it's all about whānau and it's all about ancestors. Something to understand that there are some commonalities in Māoridom around in all the tribes. Obviously we're all brown or shades of brown. There's connections in terms of the maramataka and the moon. So we have a moon calendar that helps you to define your relationship with nature, and particularly it is useful for understanding about the planting of crops, the harvesting of crops, the quality of kai or food for the season, our connection with fishing, mahinga kai, and just how we as a tribe back in the day would harvest and gather food and celebrate, and that is paying homage to the moon. So the moon calendar, new moon to black moon, is more significant to Māori than the Gregorian or the zodiac calendar, but more on that later. There are regional differences, however, across Māori, and that's largely to do, as I began at the start of this video, just talking about knowing the system or knowing the knowledge that is closest to where you live to understand the galaxy, because you're the centre of the universe. Big regional difference in latitude in Aotearoa, from the bottom, Bluff, Murihaku, right up to the top, Taitokoro. Cape Reinga is the point where our ancestral souls leave to become part of that great body of the stars, Te Koroa, the Milky Way. So it's really important to understand that, for example, with Matariki, it's really significant for that east coast of the North Island and some other places in the North Island. But for us in Te Waipainamu, which is my home, that's the South Island, Matariki's kind of the secondary star to another star, and that is because when the North Island are seeing Matariki, those stars, rising with Tamanui the sun, so that's heliacal rising, down in the south, Matariki is not visible. We actually don't see Matariki till after Māori New Year has started, and in about July. So the star that we see and that we celebrate as that turning of Māori New Year and the turning into winter, which is the start of the new year, is actually a star called Puaka. And Puaka, or Puanga if you like to call it, because there are other Western tribes in the North Island that also celebrate it. Puanga is known in the astronomical system. It's a royal star called Rigel Kent. And here, sharing my screen again, here you can see Rigel Kent up here, the key star. This is the southern hemisphere, and down here as in the northern hemisphere. And the Rigel Kent, or Puaka, is in the constellation known as Orion. And that's very significant. You can see Orion as a person in the northern hemisphere, but for us, down in the south, Orion's upside down and tipped on its top, and Rigel is this left point here, and we call it Puaka, and it's very significant in that it is like the guardian of Kai, clarity or the significance in the sky and what other objects it is close to will foretell the quality of our experience, particularly our food experience. And food is so central to us as Māori, because that is how we connect with our families, and that's also how we make peace with other tribes, by at the end of a ceremony breaking Kai and eating. So it's really important to understand here that Orion in the southern hemisphere is very different, and it's also very important to those in the South Island, the Kaitahu and other whānau who reside in the South Island, Te Waipainamu. And I just want to go very, very briefly a little bit, just while we're here, into the relationship of Puaka and Matariki. Like, they're very closely related. They're both in the Gemini constellation on the zodiac calendar. And for us, they are considered as ancestor stars. So this, where we are here, is the point when I just explain about how you can use them. So the whole constellation of Gemini is really important for thoughts and words, as well as in the south, because we are the opposite seasons, which means we have to look at the whole axis of Gemini and Sagittarius. It's also significant in terms of beliefs, foundational systems, and manifesting. So I really love this time. I really love tuning into this pause that we have to start the new year, which is in winter. It's kind of like Christmas, I suppose, and really tuning into the power of our ancestors who could communicate, who could inspire us, and who could remind us that we're galactic beings. So here's my little practice for you, and I hope you've stayed with me all this way, because this is where we really use the stars. So if you just want to close your eyes, we're going to go through this really quick. So you just take a big deep breath and just, you can shake off. Let's get into that sensory experience. Rub your hands, which fires up your heart. Tap your cheeks, gets rid of some of the fluid that's hanging around in your neck because you've been sitting at the computer for too long. Tap your major lymph nodes here and lift your shoulders up. That will get all the blood pumping into your brain. And now we're going to take a big deep breath and just slow. Breathe out all the way out. And one more in your nose. And breathe out. Eyes closed or shut, it really doesn't matter. Just tune into your heart, coming into your heart and just spiraling around, spiraling into the power of the ancestral stars that are part of Matariki as well as Orion, and just throw them through your body, nestle them in and down, anchoring into the crystalline amethyst silica dioxide crust in our earthship, feeling the ancestral stars, your power, your stardom, spreading out into the galaxy, drawing the light through your feet all the way up your body. And as this happens, it's like a little vortex of stars. You're feeling your starseed self unleash, coming into your heart. And I'm going to pause here. And I just want whatever comes into your mind, whatever flashes in, whether it's a healing and activation, a thought or a feeling, just bring it in, and then just raising that up through into the back part of your neck, through your throat, into your pineal gland, to the crown of your head, and take it up into the sun. Hold, pause, and shake. Flick it off in your mind. Flick off the old stories. Flick off the need to know everything. Flick off the anxiousness, the stuckness, the resistance. Flick everything. You can see the sun just burning up everything that stands in the way of whatever it is you're working on in this moment. And then you can pause here if you want for a bit longer. I like to always pump my heart even when I'm meditating. And then just feel yourself as light, like that first image of Matariki that I showed you, and feeling the great embrace in the Matariki stars, feeling the embrace of those 9 stars. Matariki, the name of the cluster, feeling the great blessing of Alcyone. Matariki, her name, Matariki, she's both the brightest star, Alcyone, 0 degrees of Gemini, as well as the name of the cluster, and she holds the other 8 stars in her motherly embrace. And here, just ask for the wisdom of the Matariki star to be with you at this time and hereafter. May you be a teacher, a carer, a wise grid keeper, an all-knowing mother or brother of a mother. And may you know more, may you be more, may you have more. Mauri ora, my friend. Mauri ora. Enjoy, and see you next time.